What's good, Fullblast Radio? We're back on a Sunday, special Sunday. First of all, happy to be here with everybody tuning in to support Fullblast Radio, Tribe, everybody, family, salute. So, today we got a special show. Since it's a new year, we want to start off on trying to manage and save money. This is stuff that I know I never learned when I was in school, and fortunately learned later on in life. I was real bad at saving money. So now that I've gotten that hunger to do it, much success and much respect goes to my lady for helping me do that. And this is dope. So it's something that you feel you want to do, and it's going to help. It's going to really help. So today's show, we're going to talk about saving your money, adding good investment choices, creating a real plan towards being debt-free, gaining financial freedom. This is a lot of notes from the book of Ramsey. He's one of the best people in the business. And hosting this podcast is Fly Qua, member of the Fullblast Tribe, who has first-hand experience gaining financial freedom and has had positive outcomes in implementing the steps from his book. And also on the podcast is Edeliz Sotomayor. Wow. I said my lady's name wrong, damn.
Wow.
I'll be hearing that later on. Who has 25 years experience in accounting, public and private. And we'll discuss financial tips and advice on budgeting, saving, and investing. So, welcome, Queens. How are y'all doing today?
Very good, thank you.
Nice.
There's a Fly Qua. You want to turn speak? I want to see if you coming through loud and clear. She's low. Am I low?
The speaker's low.
Oh, okay. My
You're
bad.
good. You're good.
Sorry about that. Kareem says mic is low.
I can't hear you either.
You can't hear me?
You low.
All right. Turn this up. Is that good? We need to go in here. Check 1 2. How's that sound?
Good, better?
That's better. When you say it's hot, you're better.
Better. He says better.
It's better?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. All right, so as you guys know, this is the book that, can you see it good? Yeah, good. You can see it good. This is a book that Fly Qua is definitely a big fan of. All right, she would like to definitely discuss her experience on it, and I will ask some questions. And I haven't read it yet, but I am a fan of Dave Ramsey. I do listen to his podcast. I drive to work, and occasionally while I'm at work, because I don't listen to regular radio stations. I just don't like the songs on it, so I'll throw on a podcast, and because I want to educate myself more in finance, in self-growth, I decided to put on podcasts that what is it? Oh, sorry. I decided to put on podcasts that I can listen to on my way to work, on my way home, and maybe during some downtime. So, Fly Qua, I'd like to ask you, what was the main reason that made you want to rethink how you spend your money? Like, let's first start with what were you doing prior to saying I need a change?
Okay, well, I got my coworker, my friend Donna. She was going crazy because the outlets wasn't working to charge the phones and the trucks at work, and she was like, she needs to listen to a podcast. doing something by having a couple thousand to the side and not 3 to 6 months. So she was like, well, I'm gonna get you the book. She bought me the book, Total Money Makeover, for my birthday, and I read the book in 2 days. And the book just changed my life. I started listening to the Dave Ramsey podcast, and the more you listen to it, the more you get it. And he started talking about the 7 different baby steps from 1 to 7. So I started being very analytical about how my money was allocated. I started writing everything down. I started, baby step 1 is $1,000. I had that. But I thought by having more money in the bank, it would be better. But it's not better if you're paying interest on car notes and credit cards. So I did baby step 1. So I'm currently on baby step 2, which you list your debt from the smallest to the largest, and you start attaching it from the smallest to the largest. Some people would think that you would do like the highest interest rate first, but with Dave Ramsey, it's not about the interest rate, it's about the momentum of small victories. So I started listing my debt from the smallest to the largest, and I'm on baby step 2. I'm just hooked.
Oh, okay. So how do you feel, if you don't mind sharing, the amount of debt you started out with and the length of time it took you to get to, like, say, in half year marker, where did you feel you were at? Where did you feel like, you know what, I feel like as if this is a new norm for you? So half year mark, year mark, explain that.
So I had credit card debt. I had no student loan, credit card. I had loans from my free savings. So I listed it all. I started the debt free February 20th. So from February 20th to August 20th, I already paid off $18,000.
That's
so
beautiful.
Every 6 months I do a update to see how much I paid off. For those 6 months alone, I paid off $18,000. Just following the Dave Ramsey thing. It works.
So you were able to, you decided, you know what, let me spend time to pull out all my debt right now, list them, because the first thing about knowing what you have out there and creating a plan of action is to list everything.
Right. And you have to be honest with yourself. If it's student loan debt, if you borrow money from your family members, whatever debt it is, just write it down. If you still owe money on the cell phone that you're paying for, write it down. I wrote down everything, and I was honest. Because you can't be honest with no one else until you're honest with yourself. Yeah. I wrote down everything.
Yeah.
And I started looking at, see where my money was going. We got on the budget, and I just got back in control. I thought I was so thrifty until I got in touch with Dave Ramsey.
We're gonna pause for a minute because I think some people are saying you sound a little bit muffled, or you sound a little bit low.
It sounds like it's coming. It's not going through here. It's coming out of here into the mic.
Okay.
You shouldn't be doing that. 1 second, y'all. Apologize for the audio issues. Why is this doing this? Let's see.
It's the integration with Zoom and
check. Fly Qua, let me get a check from you.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, it was going through another output. It should be.
it's picking up here too. That's why I lowered that. It's gonna do a double up. You good? Yeah,
They said I got an echo.
we removed the echo part.
That was me.
That was Djaytiger. All right, I'm sorry. All right, so you said 6 months you were 6 months you were 18,000.
I started the after I read the book. I started the Dave Ramsey class February 20th of 2020. So from February 20th to August 20th, I paid off $18,000 in debt. I wrote down everything.
Yeah, you do have to be honest with yourself. Some people, it's like what I've noticed. It's out of sight, out of mind type of situation. It's a matter of them not wanting or us not wanting to face the truth of our bad habits. So we kind of like just live with it. We're like, I'm okay with it, you know, and you know, whoever's around me should be okay with it too if they want to be around me. But the truth of the matter is that if you want to pass down good habits, it doesn't necessarily have to come from a classroom. It could come from reading books. It could come from, you know, legitimate podcasts out there, because there are professionals out there that are helping to educate us as well. I decided this year I'm not a big reader. I would rather listen to something. I am a hands-on type of person, so I decided, you know, I want to be able to read a little more, and I discovered audiobooks. You know, not that it was something brand new to me, but to me it's like, okay, I can listen to stuff, but that's considered reading too. Listening to audiobooks is considered reading. So I can turn around and say, well, I read such and such, and not feel like I cheated the system or something, because, you know, things like that, it makes us feel like we're cheating something, like we're even the small things of listening to an audiobook and owning that you read the book, you know. And it's weird how our upbringing puts us in a frame of mind where we are almost taking away what can benefit us and calling it as if it's a cheat code or something like that. And it's not. It's out there. There's information out there. It's not a cheat code just because we didn't have that easy access to that information. And certainly with the total money makeover, I would think that, I mean, the first thing I saw when I read it, for me, I'm I don't want to say I'm cheap, I'm frugal. I buy quality, and I research in longevity, how long would it last, if it's a good equipment. You know, sometimes I'm overkill with it, and I know it, but I'd rather spend an additional $50 for quality that'll last me probably another 5 years than to save $50 on something that's similar, that doesn't have longevity, you know. And I want experience and something that can benefit me. So when I think about saving, the first thing I say is, I'm not going to touch this. I'm not going to buy unless I have money to spend on other things. So I'm not going to buy to be broke, you know? And I'm sure that reading the book helped you realize that as well. Is that?
Yeah, and also the total money makeover comes in audio as well. Actually, the audio is cheaper than the book.
Yeah, it is. And Amazon Prime has a great audio selection, and you know, your local library too, and that's free. You go to your local library, you get your library card. There's this app called Libby. You can even download your local library app and rent the books online and go pick them up and bring them home. Or you can go to their audio section and download some books. They even have a queue where if a certain audio book has a cap, I think they have a cap of 5 checkouts per book. So if a certain book is already been kind of checked out, you can put it on reserve and it'll send you a notification. So if you don't find it in your local library, you can certainly find it on, you know, those audiobook apps. All I know is Amazon. I don't know of any other. Kindle, I think it is. Is that what it is? Yeah. So, as in Dave Ramsey's steps, can you identify each step and kind of like give a little quick synopsis of each step that you?
Okay, the first step is, baby step number 1 is getting $1,000 as fast as you can. That's considered your emergency fund. Some people keep it inside of a bank. Actually, I read the book. A lady went to Walmart, got a picture frame. She put the money inside of it, and she wrote, "In case of emergency, break." So it's different ways you could get a little creative with your emergency fund. And you can't pray and worry. You got to do one or the other. If you're gonna take on doing the Dave Ramsey plan, you just got to kind of like go for it. You can't really pray and worry because something is going to come up that's going to be emergency. So number one is get your emergency fund as fast as you can, just $1,000. Number two is list your debts from the smallest to the largest, even if it's from credit cards to car notes to student loans. You list them from the smallest to the largest. Everything except for your house. Baby step 3 is you get 3 to 6 months of your emergency fund. Whatever your household emergency is, your household monthly emergency is, you get 3 to 6 months of that. That's baby step number 3. Baby step number 4, you invest 15% of your annual income into retirement. Baby step 5 is you start saving for your kids' college if you have kids. Number 6 is you pay off your house early, and he requests that you do a 15-year mortgage. Baby step number 7 is live like no one else and give like no one else and invest because you're debt free. And people come on a Dave Ramsey show and do debt free screams. They never get old. If you guys could just listen to one, they are so emotional. They really are emotional.
They definitely are. I remember while I was at work, I put on it was a compilation of debt-free screams, and I heard this one story, this one man's story. So he said that he was definitely not doing the right thing with his money, not doing the right thing with his life as well. And he ended up about, I think he said about $100,000 in debt, and he worked for the bank, and he decided to rob the bank that he worked for. And so he ended up in federal prison. You know, times got hard or whatever, and whatever the situation was, he was just not really. It's not like he was that type of person, but it was the last person you would think that would do such a thing. But people end up in such a state of panic and fear, and they do things out of desperation. Even the best of people do things out of desperation. So he served his time, and of course, now that he has a felony on his record, jobs are limited to him. He comes out and he's wallowing in depression. He decides, I have to get my kids back. I have to get my kids back, in life. And he turns to find a job. One of his friends gave him a job working at an oil rig or something. So I think in their life, it's maybe 4 months on or 6 months on, 6 months off, something like that. And you can, or the work shift is 4 days on, 3 days off. In any case, he said he took every opening that he can do just to try and pay. And at that time, he still wasn't really, to him, he was blowing the money. One of his friends at the oil rigs, they say they listened to Dave Ramsey on the loudspeaker. And so he started listening to them, and he goes, you know what, I think I'm going to try this. He tries it. As I said, he's over 100,000 or whatever in debt, and this is not owning a home. It's just like credit cards, everything. And he felt suffocated. And no matter how much he paid towards it, it just felt like it was a never-ending thing. He'd meet that minimum balance, and he'd still feel like he was in some kind of, what are the hamster wheels. So he did exactly what you're saying. He had the $1,000 already banked up. He saved, he put that on the side. He said he created like little envelopes or something like that, so that way he can spend when he goes out. He knew he because he wasn't a cooker, he tried to do those things, and he works on the rigs. Sometimes easy access to things was him, so he gave himself a small little stipend. That was him. Dave was like, but he said it was part of, but he had the money to do that, so he decided to do it. In any case, after all the steps that he did through the Dave Ramsey, I think he did it in less than a year. He paid off everything. He worked extra just to pay off everything. These steps, as Dave says, it's a life changer in a way that you on top of you not doing your regular routine, there are most people that also have to change what they buy. So eat beans, rice, carrots, anything small, nothing gourmet. Take on a second job, and if you're a teacher, take on tutoring. If you have some kind of skill, take on a hobby where you can get extra money, income coming in. Take on a part-time job, whatever it is that's going to bring you the extra income, so that way you can tackle these bills. It isn't about you living on the same income to pay everything. It's you shifting your priorities in your spending habit, and if that isn't enough, and if you have the desire to pay it off quicker, it's you getting another job, bringing in another source of income. Am I right to say that?
Right, and it's not forever. It's just for a little while.
Yeah.
It's just for a little while. Like I said, I'm in baby step 2. I'm almost done with baby step 2. The average person takes 18 to 24 months to get out of baby step 2. I will be out of baby step 2 in a year.
And what's baby step 2 again?
I'm on baby step 2.
I know. What's
I'll be out
step
at
2 again, so that way people who are just coming in.
Writing down all your debt from the smallest to the largest.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the average person takes 18 to 24 months to get out of the baby step 2. I will be out of baby step 2 in a year. But I was working 6 days a week, 10 to 15 hour shifts.
Yeah. So
but it's not forever. It's just for a little while.
Yeah.
Like you live like no one else now, so later on you can live and give like no one else. It's just temporary.
Yeah. It's true. Just like hard times. Hard times can be temporary just as well. It does not have to be long term. You do not have to, fall over a bump in the road and then sit in that or wallow in that puddle. You know what I mean? It's about getting yourself, you realize the situation you're in. Thank you. You realize the situation you're in, and you take note in how you got there, and you own up to some of the decisions you've made that got you there, and you just reprioritize yourself. That only makes you stronger. It really does. It makes you
because
you can admit.
it's actually 80% behavior and 20% math.
Mm-hmm.
It's our behavior. It's not the math or the money, because the money is usually there. It's just our behavior. And sometimes we have like this sense of entitlement. Well, I work so hard and I should do this. You should just get out of debt.
Yeah.
And Dave teaches, if you can't pay cash for it, that means you can't afford it.
Yeah. So
and actually, when I was getting out of debt, I had an American Express card. I paid that off. I closed it out. I had a Sam's Club card. I paid that off. I closed it out. Don't you know my credit score dropped 45 points because I closed the accounts?
Yeah. It does.
You only need a credit score if you borrowing money.
Yeah.
But they brainwash us to think that we need a FICO score to do certain things. They have companies that do underline manual writing to get approved for like home mortgages and things like that.
Yeah. And owning a home, even though that's like considered almost like an American dream, it's really not a necessity for everyone.
That's optional.
Yeah,
it's a preference. It's
you don't
optional.
have to feel like you're not part of the elite society or the middle class society just because you don't own a home.
It's a preference.
Yeah, it's a preference. And if you're in a position to own a home, the best position would be to make sure you have that 20% down. That puts you in a good position. If you and the same thing with financing a car, like when we think about purchasing something, like I said, I always like to think about quality of something. And if I'm going to buy a used car, I always say I need to make sure I get a car that's above $5,000, because at that time, if I'm spending that much, then there's probably little issues that I might come across, rather than getting an older car that might end up with more issues. So I plan almost 2 and 3 years ahead. So I know my car right now, it might last me another couple of years without really any issues. But my plan right now is to start saving for a newer car where I don't have to finance it. So
Exactly.
if I go and start putting, if I say, you know what, I think I'm going to be able to afford a $300 payment, why don't I start now putting $300 away?
Yep.
And I save on the insurance. So I'm saving on the insurance because I'm not
Financing or leasing
I'm not
it.
financing a car right now. And I'm going to put $300 away. And in 2 years, when my car acts up, or when I want to get rid of the car and or sell it, I could turn around and say, I'm going to pay cash for a newer car. You don't need a brand new car. A car depreciates as soon as you pull off the lot.
Exactly. Anything with wheels you don't want to invest in. And the average car payment is about $500 a month. If Ramsey teaches that your car shouldn't cost half of your annual salary. So if you make $30,000 a year, your car shouldn't be more than $15,000. You shouldn't get a car worth $30,000 if you make $30,000.
Yeah. You need to think like the what I want to say is that out there in the world we live in our little bubble, it's about what we have, and truly it isn't. You know, we are visual people. We're learning what we see from our family, from other people, from bad habits, or just any of that stuff. But you have to turn around and really dive in and read more or educate yourself. And I'm sorry, but you're confusing me because I'm losing my train of thought. I don't know what you're doing. Sorry. I can't do two things at one time like that. I just can't. I feel like something's wrong. So I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Yeah. And I don't know, but to go back on this total money makeover, the $1,000 is a sure win. It should be, like he says, you should be able to muster that up in a month. And this is addition to what you already save or what you already spend. It isn't $1,000, $2,000, and $1,200 goes towards bills, because then it's $800 that you save. It's $1,000 outside of your norm. Save that, put it away. And when you think about it, I remember hearing one of his lectures, him saying, if your car breaks down and you need a $1,200 transmission, if you are past baby step 1, 2, and 3, you would already have 3 months of your, 3 months of, what is it he says, Fly Qua? Yeah, it's a 3 month or 6 month emergency fund, which covers all of your expenses, not just your rent. It's everything. Any expense you have in that month, you should have a 3 month emergency fund on baby step 3. That's what it is, right? So if you had that emergency fund, and it isn't investing, he says, don't invest your emergency fund because you need it to be liquid. And when he means liquid, is easy access. If you have it in a Roth IRA and you pull it out, there might be some implications, tax implications. If you have it in your 401k, it might be some tax implications. Liquid funds or easy access funds is something you can instantly take out, no issue, no penalties. It isn't going to hurt you at all. So you don't exactly. So you don't need to worry about the investment. Your investment or retirement in your baby step 4, invest 15%. That's separate. You still have your emergency fund. You still have it. You don't take your emergency fund and start investing that. You don't touch that. So if your car breaks down, you need a $1,500 transmission or a $1,200 transmission. It's just an inconvenience, he calls it. Damn, my transmission went. I got money though. Let me go pay that shit. As opposed to you not having the savings account and your transmission goes, which happened to us 3 times. You need me? It happened to us 3 times. The first time when we moved out here, the transmission went on us. Oh, okay. Friendly ads? Okay. All right, I gotta watch my my language. So it helps with no, our transmission. So our transmission went on our first year, and oh boy, were we hurt, because we had our money saved. We had our travel down. I had money saved in different, I call it categorizing. I categorize my money. I have if I have a vacation fund, it's vacation. I don't dip into it. I don't touch it. I consider it. I don't have it. That's the way I feel. I don't have that money. And if something breaks down, I don't have that money. I don't have it. I'm not dipping into that money if I have something that's saved for a specific reason. So I'm looking at that and I'm saying, oh man, I guess we're going to have to fix it, because what are we going to do? We leave in 2 days. We fixed the transmission. It came down. I think a couple of months later, our transmission went again in another car. And it just was back to back. It was definitely a snowball where we just felt like this thing is not going to end. But what that did is it made us stronger. I think, which was beautiful to see. At first Tiger got worried, and he's like, what the heck? This is when this is going to end. And I said, I got you. We're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. We'll be okay. So, I mean, we didn't go anywhere for a couple of years. Like, we still are, building here, that we haven't really fully enjoyed Georgia.
With the pandemic.
Yeah, and the pandemic, that was helpful for us as well, because while we became already comfortable in our position, we started finding ourselves, Tiger as well, started finding ourselves spending a little more. And I tend to, I'm not a shopaholic, but I tend to, emotional shop sometimes. And while I was going to school, I just would constantly look at things I can shop for. And it's not a good thing, especially when, it feels good when the packages come, but then you feel guilty. I buy it, I don't feel guilty. The packages come, I feel guilty. Because then it's like, oh, I just spent money I didn't have to spend. Even though, in my position, I can say I'm very good with handling money. But when that third transmission, when Tiger needed another car thing that happened, I think it was the axle or something like that. It was like, on my car?
Absolutely.
No, I'm talking about with your car. With his car, something else happened and he needed to pay it. And he goes, you know what? I have the money. And it felt good to him. He was like, I've never really experienced this, where I feel good, where I have the money because, I saved. I had an emergency fund. I saved. And it feels so, so good when you can, it hurts to pull that money out, but you're not strapped because of it. And living like that, the stress, it causes anxiety in people. Yeah. So
It feels better to have it than not have it, even though you had to take it out and you didn't want to.
yeah,
You didn't have it at all.
yeah. And going back to that, what is it? The debt-free rant with Dave Ramsey. You guys got to listen to some of that. It's
Just put the link in there.
You did?
In the chat. So check it out.
Yeah, there's a link in the chat where there's some Dave Ramsey rants about being debt free, and they seek him out wherever he's at. They find where he's at, and They go into this little booth and they tell their story. And the story is why they're in debt. What does the debt include? Some is a lot of student loans and credit card debt, and another is just the a house. There was this young couple, this young family where the wife lost her husband and they had newly bought a house. The husband saved everything he could, so he was very much a without knowing Dave Ramsey, a Dave Ramsey. They saved the money, they put a large down payment on the house, and then couple of years after they bought the house, he passed away, leaving her with the kids. And so she took on reading Dave Ramsey and how she can be debt free, and the only debt she had was the house. She actually said she canceled her cable subscription. Imagine that, and you have 2 kids in the house. She canceled the cable subscription. She minimized as much as she can for as long as she can. She picked up extra hours. She sold things on the side. She crafted. She did whatever she could, and she paid off that house in 6 years. She paid it off in 6 years. She was crying. Her kids were crying. And at the end, when you tell your story in this little Dave Ramsey segment, he tells you, okay, here's the countdown. I'm counting down 3, 2, 1, and they scream, I am debt free. Right? Oh, I got goosebumps. I saw you smile with that. You know the story. Has anyone ever heard any of those or seen any of those video clips? I'm looking at the chat right now. Yeah. It is amazing. It's amazing. I remember showing Tiger one of them, and I got a little emotional off of it, and I was like, wow, I feel that, and you just feel it once you hear the scream that they're debt free. And being debt free is you don't owe anyone anything. You can actually invest your money, and do whatever. If you don't care too much about investment and you already have a nest egg that's coming to you where you can live comfortably, then you can travel, you can minimize your expenses and do what you want. Dave Ramsey's method is a one size fits all. There are people that are past it and probably want to do more with their money differently, but that doesn't go to say that this won't work for them. It's a one size fits all. It works for anybody and everybody. As far as you wanting to customize your ways because you have different habits, it doesn't mean that this, like I said, it does not mean that this will not work for you. It's still the same core steps that anyone would take. Build up a savings for yourself. Anyone would pay off all your bills. Some people say pay the highest interest first, down to the lowest interest. Psychologically, that doesn't work for a lot of people. It doesn't. Psychologically, a lot of people feel they're still in a hamster wheel. So with Dave Ramsey, he puts a psychological win in goal setting. So he sits and he says, pay off the smallest one. So if you have 4 credit cards and they range from owing $200 to $1,000, you put it in order. And then you have your student loan debt. Then you have whatever debts, you put them in. Because when you have 10 different things that make up your debt, and psychologically you feel so trapped and enclosed, when you start picking away or crossing off one debt at a time, all right, I paid off that $200 debt. Guess what? I have 9 more things to get rid of. I have 7 more things. I have 6 more. And then when you just have that one thing, even though it's a big doozy, it could be a house, it could be the student loan. Your student loan could be $50,000. Your house could be $100,000. That one thing is just one. It's just one. That's all you have to worry about.
Interest rate is about momentum.
Yeah.
That's why you said the smallest to the largest. It's not about
Yeah, yeah.
And just don't change the recipe. It's a recipe, 7 days steps. Stick to the recipe. Don't improvise, don't change, don't go out of line. Doing it order, it works.
It does. It does. I had a professor ask the class a question, so I'm gonna ask the chat this question, something to self reflect. Um, what? Fly Qua. They're asking if you can get if you could get closer to your mic or something or.
Is that better? Is that better? Is that better? Is that better?
Yeah, I hear you, but it's the chat, people in the chat. It could be that our voice keeps going up and down, so I'm pulling myself closer to the mic as well. Oh, he said it seems like it. So I think it's just us projecting our voices, because
See how when she talks, it's in there. When you talk, it's in there.
Oh,
so
I see.
Maybe you should back up a little, and then I'll turn it up so that way it's still. So
okay, I'm good with that.
like I did too, it was going in the reds.
Oh, that was because it was me getting too close. All right, so
No. I saw when she was talking, it was in the red.
okay. So go ahead, do a test again, Fly.
Is that better?
This is the thing. This is the issue with
Danny?
Yeah, when it was for some reason it was going down low automatically. I don't know why, but that's just it's weird, really weird.
He says it's a setting in Zoom.
Yeah.
Probably.
Oh, in Zoom. One second, y'all.
All right, while he's doing that, I'm just going to pose the question and y'all put it in the chat so that way we can read it out while he's doing this. The question is, what bad habit or what addiction do you have when it comes to money? And I don't mean in a bad sense. It's a bad habit you have with money, and there's a reason for some of these. Like, I know, I'll just give an example. One of my bad habits with money is I do not think or budget for grocery shopping. Not one bit.
Nope.
I don't do it. Sometimes I'll spend 300, sometimes I'll spend 2, 4, and I don't budget not one bit. And I'll tell you a little backstory about that afterwards. But this is something that I would love for you guys to engage and share a bad habit with money that you have. And Kareem says cars. Okay.
He's got 6, but they're all paid off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had to talk about the legs, the underneath.
Yeah.
We're about to go buy another car. Yeah, we had to talk about the legs.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm waiting while you're doing that. They're still gonna be entering in the chat. Yeah. And what about you, Fly? What bad habit did you or do you still have, even though it's not affecting your financial freedom? It still would be considered kind of like a bad habit. Yeah.
I really don't have any, but I can tell you the hardest part that I had to do adjust to the daily revenue plan was to stop my savings and stop contributing to my 401k. Those were the 2 hardest phone calls I had to make. To call my human resources and tell them I didn't want to contribute to my 401k. Even though I know it was just a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So I really don't have that, but I would never run out of soap, tissue, toothpaste. I would never run out of that. So that could be a bad habit.
Well, yeah,
I'll run out of that.
Yeah, like groceries for me, it isn't really a bad habit. It's just a thinking process that I have. It's like I budget for everything. I really look into everything that I want to buy, but groceries, no, don't do it.
Why is it strict?
I don't do it. It is. It is. I look and say, and then if it's on sale, like one of them stores do 10 for 10, and it's on sale, and I know I can use it, I'm buying it. I'm buying it. So I had like I said, my professor said she's bad with sales. She will buy knowing she doesn't need it. If it's on sale, she only sales shops, which is great. She only sales shops, but if she truly doesn't need it, she'll buy 10 if it says 10. All the 10 for 10s, she'll rack up on them. And then you think about it, in one of a podcast or a TikTok that I saw, there was this gentleman that said, if you have 10 items, like he used razors because he shaves, he buys a 10 pack. If you have 10 razors, he'll go through them real fast. He'll go through the first 9 real fast, and then that last one he'll use 3 times longer than he used the first ones, the other ones. So he says psychologically what we end up doing is when we have more of something, we're more wasteful with the first few, or the you know, all the way up to the last one. And when we have the last one, it's don't waste that. Let me use it longer. I could get 2 more months out of this. You know, we think like that. So that contributes to poor spending habits. Even though you're looking at a sale thing, you have a lot of it. So let me just quickly go through the chat real quick and see what some of these people said. You know, why is you too funny? So we'll tackle. Kareem says cars, but they're all paid off. Oh, and guns, they're all paid off. All right, Wise. Oh, $5 to $10 a day on lunch. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that adds up. Yeah, it does. I've learned that the hard way. Yeah. All right. So when you think about those things now, so as we think about those things, and for those who did contribute and say what they, you know, people have lotto tickets. Yeah, people will spend on lotto tickets. Yeah, exactly. So when you think about those things, think about the psychological reason why you spend or how you spend on that. So for instance, we'll go back to me, why I don't think about how much I spend on groceries. So the reason why I remember why I don't think about it is because when growing up, we always had food in the house, but back then it was rationed where we weren't starving, and we didn't miss out on seconds if we wanted seconds, but it was small portions and we had to eat everything. So that's the way, you know, we didn't get up unless our plate was cleaned full, completely. So when you think about that I turned around and, you know, I moved out at a young age. And so the struggle was completely 100% on me and for me to manage without any support or family help, because I moved out. I chose to move out at a young age and distance myself. So when I went through those years, I had money just for my bills, my rent and whatever have you. I had no cable. I had to make sure that whatever I made that month, first covered my rent. So I turned around and, you know, a friend of mine was saying, listen, we got to get your cabinets full because you don't have anything in here. She brought me to different food banks. Like I said, I was in maybe 20, 21 years old. She brought me to different food banks to gather and get money and get food, get help, get support. And I just didn't like that feeling when being 8 months pregnant, not really having money for food in my house, and having to take every penny that I had, including money that I would find on the, out throwing out money. I think if you pick up every penny out there that people throw away, you'd have a good amount of money, but I just had to really think about what I wanted to spend my money on. And I always said I never want my kids be hungry or not have, and I never want to not have a roof over my head. So when it came to prioritizing my money, I would make sure bills were always taken care of, and I did not care how much I spent on grocery. And sometimes that would break me, but I wouldn't be broke because I always had a savings account that was my emergency fund. So as long as I knew I had money in this account, I didn't care how much I spent on grocery. So the psychological reasoning for why I don't think about those things is because I always want variety in my house for my family, so that way I can cook, bring, give them to me. That's like a gift of love to be able to cook what I want, give them what they want, and nourish them, because it's in me to want to be a nurturer and nourish my family. So in a psychological sense, that's why I do those things. You said the toothpaste, the soap, or the bath tissues. Go ahead, explain that. There's psychological reason. Yeah. You're like, that's the way we were with Lysol. I was like, babe, we got Lysol and tissue. We good. But what? Go ahead. Oh, you said you want to ask a question? Yeah, Tiger wants to ask a quick question.
Okay. Can y'all hear me out there in the chat?
Yeah, you coming through.
All right, so now why, this might be a little off topic. I want to kind of get back on the Dave Ramsey, but why in school they don't teach you? I mean, I have an idea, but in school there's never a class on finances. But when you graduate high school and you register for college, all of a sudden you get credit card information in the mail. Oh, you'll get approved. You'll get approved. Just like that. But there is no financial classes on, if you get into debt, this is how you get out of it, how to invest your money. I learned that later on in my 40s, and just a few years ago. I'm finally able to save. And it's crazy because all these times I worked 9 to 5 and couldn't save, and now that I'm on my own business, I'm saving more than I've ever saved in my life. But that information was never put out there, when you were younger. So why do you think that is?
You want to put your input first, Fly?
It's a crime. It's a crime to be in debt. We just think that it's normal. Being broke is normal. We just think it's normal. Have a credit card debt. And you hear some people say, oh, I'm a die with debt. You don't have to die with debt. It's just designed for us to be in debt. That's why these classes are not taught. Dave Ramsey has been around for 3 decades.
Yeah, I'm just hearing about him now.
Yeah. And my thought too, it's a lot of it is community, where you are at, where you grow up in. We see what everyone else is doing, and we're almost, if you think about it, I when we were in New York, and you move from one town to another, you almost assimilate to how people move in that town. So you move the same. You end up moving the same. Your kids and the word and yourself end up picking similar dialects, similar um yeah, yeah, and uh genre, I mean jargon. It's just you just pick up a lot of similar stuff. So when you leave that area, and you go someplace else, and it's definitely something different than where you came from, it's foreign to you. And as much as you want to go back to those bad habits, it's really important to have an open mind and look at all of the opportunities within your own area and in your neighborhood. Because regardless of not, there's in the poorer communities, there are a lot of non-for-profit organizations in the poorer neighborhoods that truly help. Unfortunately, they may not get as much funding as other areas do, but they truly help, and they try to fill in the gaps of what the schools don't teach and what two working family households can't implement in their own lifestyle, as well as be a representation to their kids too, because they have to live in this constant work, come home, take care of kids, take care of yourself, go to sleep.
So how do you get someone to change their mindset? Because you can sit there and say, there are, in these bad communities, there are programs out there, but a person with that mindset isn't thinking that because they're in that wallow. They're in that, their minds are not thinking like that. So there has to be people that will reach out to people that are in those bad times to let them know that there are programs for them to get out of it. But there's people that they don't think that, we're thinking because we're trying to better ourselves, but there's people out there that are conditioned not to, especially in our community, in the hood.
I think a lot of it starts first with the desire to grow, because you can point in the right direction all you want, you can provide it all you want, and people will consume it. But if they don't consume it in a way where they intend on growing from it, they'll just be consuming it and still be in the same position. So yeah, we have to we have to teach our kids and our community and the people that we engage with that it's more important to shift your thought into your future than into the now. You can live in the now, but you really need to plan for your future, so that way when tragedy hits, such as this pandemic, businesses weren't prepared, people weren't prepared. I just now start telling my kids, get a side hobby that can make you money, because if ever you feel like you're going to you're going to lose your job, or you not that you hate your job, but something happens, something like this, there's other income that can help support you. Maybe not to the fullest, but you can turn around and make it support you, because you've already established something. You've already established a pattern, or a hobby that can create some kind of income. So when you lose your main job, that thing is already in motion. All you have to do is just expand it to try and bring more income until you find something else. So you're not going from some income to zero. You're going from some income to another thing that you can grow, rather than just nothing. So it's important to teach our kids that we need to save for the future, and it isn't just put the money away, save, and put it in the bank. It's save for retirement, so that way if you want to retire and work, like I don't think I can retire and not work. I think I could retire and work part-time. That I can do. And so I think that now that my kids are older, I also don't need in the position I'm in, I have no debt, I have investments. I don't own a home. Do I want one? Yes, but do I need to rush to get one? No, because I am comfortable living the way I am and the way we are. It's a choice because we're comfortable. We're comfortable. Owning something is not a necessity. Owning a home is not a necessity. So I certainly want to retire early without busting my behind at 70, 80 years old, still working. I don't want to do that. So my thought process is, let me get rid of my bad habits, and take that extra money and put it away. If you think about it, if you could tell your kids to put $100 of their income a month, $100 a month away, even $50 a month away in some kind of fund, IRA, in some kind of market account, by the time they're 40, they'd have $1 million. They'd have $1 million in that account. So in that mindset, you can sit and say, wow, you know what? I don't have to stay in this dead end job that I hate just to survive and pay my bills. I have choices. When you have money put away, you have choices. When you don't have anything put away, you feel trapped. You feel trapped. So it's very important for us, to start really teaching our kids, even as older as we are or as old as they are. I told my kids, after this year, for your birthday and for Christmas, I will not be giving you any money or any gifts. What I'll be doing is the money that I get, that I plan to give you, I will be putting it in your own IRA or money market account. So that I'll be doing that twice a year. That's my plan. That's what I want to do for them. I want to create generational wealth and generational financial stability. I want to create that for my kids. I knew I didn't want to be in debt, and I never was in debt. I knew I didn't want to be trapped in some kind of payment plan. And I got a car, but when I bought a car, my mission was to pay it off in 2 years. I had a 5-year car note. My mission was to pay it off in 2 years. And before I bought that car, I thought 2 years long and ahead. And I put $5,000 on that car. And I said, instead, if my car payment is $200, I'm sending them three to $400. I paid that car off in less than 2 years because that was my mission. I didn't buy it when I was broke. I bought it with money already saved, and that $5,000 didn't break me because I still had another $5,000 in a savings account. I didn't take a whole $10,000 so I could be broke. You know what I mean? I turned around, I said, I'm just going to put $5,000. This other $5,000 is still my emergency fund. I needed a car right then and there, but my mission was to pay it off ASAP. So there are some people that are going to be in a situation where at this point, they're starting right now and their car breaks down within a month and they didn't even save their $1,000 yet. And they're going to be in a position where they say, oh my goodness, I have to get another car. Otherwise, I'm going to lose my job. Don't go and get a $30,000 car. Don't do it. You're already broke. You're already broke. Don't do it. Dave says that. First of all, he doesn't even agree on financing anything. He believes in paying something off, but he does say, if that's what you're going to do, if you are going to take a loan out or you're going to finance a car, do not get a brand new car off the lot.
He said the only way I'm putting money in the bank is if I'm buying.
Yeah, if he's buying the bank, yeah. Yeah.
A lot of mentality behind that when you said about, with Christmas that you gotta put money away. But imagine if we had that mentality when our kids were 3, 4 years old. Instead of spending $600-$700 on toys, that they're not going to use when they become a teenager, because then they start not listening and being unruly. They're not using the toys anymore. If we put that money away when they were that young, imagine giving them that money to start up their own business, where they couldn't even have to go out there and slave like we had to.
Yeah.
It just hit me like, wow.
Yeah. And starting a business doesn't have to.
Overrated.
Starting a business doesn't mean that the business needs to earn a profit, a net profit of over 50,000 a year. A business can earn a net profit of 10,000 a year. A business can earn a net profit of 5,000 a year. If you teach your kids about business early and even late, it doesn't matter when you teach them. If you teach them about business and then you show an example and you share your experience with them, they will pick that up. They'll pick it up, and if they run with it, they run with it. But no matter what, it'll still be in the back of their mind, like all them times you've told them something, or you're teaching them something, or you're disciplining them, in a way. It still sits in the back of their brain, what they've seen and what they've heard. So these positive things, it does make a difference, and how we view ourselves in our community makes a difference. Giving back to your community. For Christmas, my kids knew I had a cap. There was a cap of, when I was broke, it was a cap of $50. Then when I started to get a little bit more money, it's $100 a year on Christmas. And that is it. They see their cousins have like 10, 15 gifts under their tree. Oh my goodness, we've got this, we've got the PlayStation, whatever, the newest stuff. No, sorry, we don't live like that in this house. Not in this house. Yes, I can afford it, but we don't live like that in this house. I'll get what I can, and you go in your room before we go and get this stuff, before Christmas comes. You go in your room, you get all the stuff that you don't use anymore, and take care of your stuff, and we're donating it. So every year when they were young, I would make them go through their toy box. I used to see my brother's kids have 5 toy box per kid. Like toy bins, them big gallon, whatever, toy boxes. And I'm saying, not my kids, this is ridiculous. 1 toy box, that's it. And if it can't fit in there, then we need to start donating some stuff. Dig at the bottom of that toy box, because I'm sure you haven't seen that toy in like 6 months, so you ain't gonna miss it if we give it away. You're not gonna. So I would do that. We'd pack up the stuff and clean it, and we'd give it to a local area or a local family that might need it, or any place. You have to one of Dave Ramsey's thing, I think, is the final step. You give. You got to be able to give, and even though that might be his final step in his book, that's not to say that you can't give what you don't use in your house. You can't give back to your community by volunteering. You can volunteer. I lied to you not. I had no money, but I put my kids in youth sports, and by me volunteering in the youth sports, more than half of the time, my kids played for free. And that built a great community with me and those other parents, and a great, extended family, like a tribe, where they watched my kids when my back was turned, and I trust them, and they trust me to put their kids in check. And if they came to me and said, your kids did this, I was like, well, what'd you say? She was like, I told them they better not. I'm gonna tell your mom. I was like, you could tell them that you're gonna do something too. So it's the village. If you're in your community, you don't want to go and spend outside of your community. And I mean, that's the place you live in. That's the place you're growing. You're sowing your seeds. You're putting your roots in. So why not give and contribute to the community? And as Tiger was saying, how can we get this information out within your community? Talk to whoever you see. If you see someone, and I'm too much of an introvert, but sometimes being in that non-for-profit and volunteering helped me be more expressive, where I can go up to a stranger and talk to them. Before that, I would have said and look at them like,
On that note, since you said about, the best thing you can do is contribute to the community, I I feel is that we got a community, Fullblast Radio. This is our community.
Yep.
So
That's why we're giving this.
what Fullblast Radio is gonna do, Fullblast family, is the first 5 people that email me that they're interested in, gaining financial freedom will get this book by Dave Ramsey, Total Money Makeover. So the first 5 people that are serious, interested, don't email me because you want the book and then you're gonna sell it. That's not how we're gonna make the money. We want you to read the book so you can learn the 7 days steps.
It's an easy read. One thing I don't like is technical reading. The technical books, people that they're so smart, they want to fill the book with these smart words and
like they do it in jail from Living Color.
I hate that. I hate people who fill a book with a lot of technical terms. It's not useful. It's just waste. You're wasting trees, you're wasting space, you're wasting time. But this is a very good read. A lot of it has stories about people and their journey. So it isn't a front to back on how to. A lot of us learn off of relatable stories. So, and we pick up on relatable situations. And I've noticed that his book has a lot of relatable situations from real life people that had shared their stories and their success in the 7-step program, the 7 baby steps. So if you truly are interested in reading this and learning how to go through it, this is a really good tool. It's uplifting, and besides all that, he has a podcast that you can definitely subscribe to and get a lot of information from. Nowadays a lot of people are spending time on TikTok and on different kinds of podcasts. Can you put a finance or money management in your rotation? Can you devote 1 hour a day in yourself? Because the best investment that you can do, the absolute best investment, number one thing you should do is invest in yourself. That's the number one thing you should do. Because if you invest in other people first, if you invest in the name brands or your image just because everyone else has it, what you're teaching your kids and the people who are around you is it's just not a good habit to. You're teaching them substance about material things. So what you want to teach them is self-growth. You want to teach them, I want to better myself, and if I'm 100% good, I can give 100% to someone else. But if I'm taking care of everyone else and I'm only devoting 20% of myself, 100% of 20% is not a lot. It's not. It's still 20%. It's not a lot. It's not a lot at all. It's a fraction of a percent. So it's important to invest in yourself. Like they say, when you go in the airline, the first thing they tell you when they're doing those little hand movements and direction stuff, they say, put the mask on you first. Because you can't turn around and be 100% by putting it on your child first. And then you got to hurry up and put it on yourself. You'd already be out of oxygen and your child's living, and now your child's parentless. You hurry up, put it on yourself, put it on your child. You can resuscitate your child, you can't resuscitate yourself. So we have someone who already emailed. Is that Lantius? Yes, beautiful. Okay, yeah. So do we have a few questions? It's 1 o'clock. I know some people are thinking about the football game or whatever, but do we have some questions? Anyone have any questions? I'm trying to think. There was something else I read in his book too, that was interesting, and it had something to do with pandemic. You know what? It wasn't the book. It was one of his videos. He said, "I'm sorry."
Oh, no, go ahead.
All right. He said, if you haven't prepared, then a pandemic like this would take you out. And he's right. If you haven't prepared, even businesses, big businesses, multi-million-dollar businesses, even they are poor with money. He's said he was a millionaire and was poor with money. Poor with it. And he lost everything. Dave Ramsey said he lost everything. Everything. Even being a millionaire. So, if you don't build a strong foundation, it's hard. It's like, I want that house, but if you don't build a strong foundation when a hurricane comes, that house is gonna swoop away. But if you have a strong foundation, you weatherize it, you maintain it, you build on it, that is not gonna go away. I mean, a storm is going to come, and it might cause minor damage. It might cause what he calls inconvenience, right? He calls things like that an inconvenience because you have prepared. You've prepared. But when you don't prepare, you might have that mansion sitting on a rocky foundation, and that mansion will crumble. So someone says, any thoughts on bankruptcy?
Yeah, I guess he means, do you mean, is it best to file for it?
No, I remember seeing her question. The Lantius. I'm not sure. I'm sorry if I'm saying her if you're a he, but I remember seeing the question. Them saying, how does it work with the Dave Ramsey plan? Do you remember any videos on what Dave Ramsey said in Bankruptcy? I think I remember one, but
People probably do something about bankruptcy. We don't talk about bankruptcy too much. The only time we talk about bankruptcy is we tell you not to borrow from your 401k unless you face the bankruptcy. So we don't talk about bankruptcy too much. We don't fight for it too much. Do it in podcast and look something else. People find videos.
yeah, I remember hearing something that he said. Another viewer was saying that they were in the bankruptcy terms or whatever and going through all their stuff. No matter what, these are the things that you cannot bankrupt. You cannot bankrupt a student loan. You cannot bankrupt anything that you owe to the government. You owe it. You can't bankrupt any of that. It goes part of their credit, what do they call it? Their plan. Because years ago, you could file for bankruptcy and almost everything get wiped out, except for, like I said, the student loan and all that, and the government, whatever you owe the government stuff. Years ago, you can. Now, they put you through some kind of process to pay it off. They put you through this something, and they'll only relieve a portion based on what your income is. So you'll still owe money. They don't get rid of it all at all. They don't. So what Dave has said is what I remember him saying. Not that he doesn't recommend it, but he says, why do that when all you have to do is pick up a side job and pay those things off? Just pay it off. You've got other people that say there are ways to get around certain things that on your credit that is sitting there for a long time. But if, quite honestly, if your T-Mobile is on your credit report and you owed it 4 years ago or something like that, or 6 years ago, the company already wrote it off. It's a write-off. You ideally don't owe it anymore. The only reason why it feels like you owe it is because it's on your credit report. And if you need your credit score to buy something, then that's how it's going to hurt you. But if you don't need your credit score and you pay off all your stuff and you're debt free, you don't need your credit score unless you're looking to buy big items. But if you save for it, then again, you don't need your credit score. When you think about it, your credit score is needed for let's say you want to buy a house. Yeah, it's borrowing money. You want to buy a house. People first go to buying a house or buying a car. That's why, or even renting. You know, if you're going to rent at some facility or whatever, some of them, they want to pull your credit report. You know, but if you can work around those things by saving money, putting a large down payment, making sure that you are investing in yourself and planning 2 to 3 years ahead, you should be good. You should really be good. I can't see how it won't help you. So I'm not sure if that really answered your question in full, Lantius, but the point is, you know, if you do end up going through the bankruptcy, if that's what you're doing, and you feel it's at this point your only option out, no matter what, the 7-step program is still gonna say save money, pay off whatever from smallest to biggest. From smallest to biggest. Turn around and then save 3 months worth, and then invest, and so on and so forth. So
After her bankruptcy, if she ever, if she's interested in purchasing a home, there's companies that does manual underwriting.
Yeah.
That doesn't look at the credit score.
Yep.
She'll still be able to get a house, and she'll bounce back from it.
yeah, manual underwriting, it's a good thing, because let me tell you, everyone hates a lot of my the colleagues, they don't like Bank of America. I've been with Bank of America before they were then. I've been grandfathered because my mom opened up an account for me when I was young, and I stood with that bank. So it's changed names several times. And in all the years that I've been with them, I've never had any kind of extra fees, like overdraft fees. I've never had any of that. I've always kept money in the account. And then I upgraded it to where now I pay no fees. So if you keep a certain amount in your account, you pay no fees at all. They give you all these extra perks or whatever else. And I spoke with their loan department, and I asked them, what does it take for someone like me and as a customer to get a loan? How much does my credit affect this if you can pull a 10-year history and my and I could provide you with 3 years of taxes? How much does my credit score really have an impact on me attaining a loan? And they said, if you have all of that, that plays a big role, even if your credit score is low. It plays a big role. It shows consistency. It shows a desire not to be behind. And they can see that my rent comes out of it. They can see that my check gets deposited in it. So I'm creating a trace. I'm creating a footprint of how I spend my money, so they can see all of that, and they can say, you know what, based on the 3 years of her banking with us, or the 10 years, she has an excellent spending habit or money management habit. So my credit score isn't going to be the heavyweight in their decision. It's not. And because I told them, I said, I am, before, this was years ago, I told them, I don't want credit. And I didn't. The only reason why I got credit I didn't get it when I was young. I got credit when I was in my 30s, because I did not want credit at all. I thought that having no credit, not having any black marks, would be good. But then there's this boom that happened in the United States. Get credit, buy this, and look good, have all what you want. And you tend to almost fall into that. You fall into, I want, I want the big car. Meanwhile, I'm struggling. I'm renting this small little apartment or something like that, So, go ahead.
Okay, so for the last question, Wise asks, what should he do if he wants to start a business today? What would he need to do?
Oh, outside of this? All right. Well, if you wanted to start a business today, I'm not sure if you have an EIN. It depends. Like, there's a lot of ways to tackle this. If I give you if I answer this, it'll be general. And depending on your tax history or your tax status, there are certain ways to tackle this where it can benefit you. No matter what, starting a business will benefit you all the way. Just like this is what I'm telling you, is will be a one size fits all. It works for everybody, but sometimes you want something that's more customized where you can grow faster. But as far as starting a business is concerned, you can start it off where you are writing up a Schedule C at the end of the year. So basically, you don't need an EIN number. However, then there's liability. So then you if someone wants to sue you because you don't have any kind of liability insurance, they can do that. Which is why some people, the first thing people say is get an LLC. Even if just get an LLC, even if you're only bringing in $1,000 a year, get an LLC. I tend to say, depending on the business, LLC and S Corp, same thing. When you go on the irs.gov, you go for the EIN number, and the EIN number, when you ask for it, they'll say, well, what kind of business is this? Is it going to be a partnership? Is it going to be an LLC? Is it going to be an S Corp, C Corp? And it's very confusing for the average person. Even for myself, it was confusing. I'm sitting there looking like, this can be really confusing for certain people. And, I'm in the finance business, and if I'm confused, the average person out there who isn't will be confused too. So the reason why LLC, S Corp, no matter how you do your taxes, if you're an LLC and you do your business tax and you do your personal tax, if you're going to separate it, you still have to elect what type of business do you want to file as an LLC or an S Corp. You still get that option even though you're an LLC. So what matters is your tax implication. Do you want to be taxed as a sole proprietor where it's a higher tax? Or do you want to create an S Corp so that way you can pay yourself through it? You could expense a lot of your whatever expenses through the business, and you can I'm trying to get my phone. All right. And you can expense it through the business, and you can almost modify what you want to. You can modify your tax implication with an S Corp. Like I said, first step, go on the irs.gov, and then second step, register with your state, because you also need to secure that name. So those are the first two things, whether you're going to choose LLC or S Corp. I just say go for the S Corp. LLCs are great for something, a smaller business. Like if you're probably bringing in a hobby business, or you're bringing in 10,000 a year, it's not really about money and your net profit. It's just, it kind of really depends on your work. I have a colleague of mine that says only use LLC if you're going to be in real estate, if you're going to be renting. And if you're going to be renting, the reason why he says choose an LLC, renting out, that's going to be your income that you buy real estate to rent out. He says don't buy it under your name, buy it as an LLC, because if something happens, or a family in there, or someone wants to sue you, they can't go after that rental property, that house, as a source of part of your income. They can only go after you personally, or they can go after the house, and your other income or your other personal assets are untouched. It just creates a wall. So LLC is just to create a wall and to kind of legitimize it, your business. S Corp is a stamp of approval business. It's same thing, just different title. That's all it really is. So why not just go for the S Corp? So does that answer your question, Wise? Was there something else?
Yeah, so I just want to y'all said, it's a proven plan for financial success. You know, it works for everyone if you are serious about implementing it. And I'm dead ass serious. I'm gonna lie, we get off this call. You know, like we're gonna plan some things. I already been thinking of something ever since I watched the video yesterday. I also want to say, next Sunday at noon, I'm gonna be doing a business podcast with my firstborn. He has a business. He just moved to Florida. He's 25. Him and his cousin, they run La Premier. That's how you pronounce it. Their company is basically they do property management. They assist with tenants. They find rentals for homeowners and landlords that need property management services. They've been doing real great. He actually caught the spark early. Like I said, I'm just catching the spark, and I'm double his age, and he's caught it already. So, I'm real proud of him, his cousin. They run this business, so I'm gonna be doing a podcast with him, and just young black entrepreneurs, doing their thing, running their own business. He also runs a subsidiary called Red Tech, which they do business, personal computers, whether it's building or networking, troubleshooting, things like that. So we're gonna be talking about that next Sunday at 12 o'clock. So if y'all can tune in and see these young black brothers doing their thing, I think it's dope to see that. We always see the negative stuff in the news that these kids are, doing a lot of crazy stuff, and I think it'd be good to see some, young black brothers, with their heads on straight, doing the right thing at an early age, so that way they don't have to struggle later on in life. So I just think that's dope. So hope y'all tune into that.
Someone mentioned about Bitcoin. I don't know anything about that. And in my personal preference, I don't plan on getting into it regardless of the lucrative business of it. I just have certain personal feelings about it. So I'm not sure, and which is why I don't even bother to look into it. I know a lot about the whole idea and the concept, but I'm not really interested. So I'd be a poor person to give you advice on that. I wouldn't. I was quickly going through the chat just to see if we missed any questions that we can answer quickly. It says, all right, and someone wanted to get back into being YouTubing. One thing for sure is with the YouTuber, get an LLC. You can do that. Use your the limited liability if you're gonna do that. But you can also with all the donations and everything that you might get through it, or the analytical stuff behind the scenes, YouTube takes a lot of it. Maybe making an S corp and paying yourself and issuing a W-2 at the end of the year. It all depends on how big it might be. So it doesn't really matter, honestly, if you do LLC or S corp, but I tend to lean on the side of if it's more or less extra money on the side, and it's not your main income, then LLC suits perfect. That's the way I lean. There are other people that'll say, no, just turn it into an S corp, which it doesn't matter. It won't hurt you either way. But LLC just runs it through a Schedule C, and you just report it as income with all the expenses going against it. And most people use LLCs because of that, and a lot of them, they expense almost every bit of the profit that they make. And that's because they're constantly upgrading. And it's okay. Your first 3 years, you could be at a loss. Yeah. And if it's a hobby, you can have a 10-year loss. As long as it's you can have a 10-year loss as long as it's considered in the realms of a hobby. People who are crafters, if they have a lot to expense and they do it for their church or whatever.
I was asking if you clarify, it doesn't matter if you LLC or not. Kind of
I know it goes back and forth. It really, in all senses, technicality, it doesn't matter. But sometimes the business and how much, whether it's your main source of income or not, no matter what, it's a form of taxing. You know what I mean? LLC, you get taxed higher. S corp, you get taxed lower. But if it's your main core income, S corp is the way to go because you get taxed lower and you're paying yourself a W-2 through a W-2, not a 1099. The LLC, it's extra income. It's not necessarily a 1099, but it falls under the realms of it as if it was a 1099, and then you're expensing everything through your Schedule C, and you get taxed with a higher rate, but that's okay because it's kind of like almost like a side gig or whatever. So, in my personal feeling is if it's a side gig and it's something like a part-time or an extra job, use an LLC. If it's going to be your main source or even 50-50 source of income, turn it into, make it an S corp. So figure out what way you really want, how much income or how big you want it to go. I hope that helps.
Wow, this was great. So much positive feedback in the chat room. I'm so glad y'all were able to tune into this. I see a lot of people really feeling this, and just to close it out, Fly Qua with Dave Ramsey, with the 7 steps. Just want to just close out with something on the book. We have three people, so we have 2 more books to give away. So whoever emails me the next 2 emails that want the book, we'll send the book to y'all for free, so y'all can definitely enlighten yourself on the Total Morning Makeover.
Closing out, I just want to say that I'm very passionate and serious about selling baby stuff. I just want you guys to just give it a try. If it doesn't work, just go back to what you were doing. Just try it. If it doesn't work, go back to what you were doing.
Dave will tell you if it doesn't work, it's you, not the system.
Yeah.
Dave doesn't hold back. You would hear him call people,
stupid.
Stupid. That's stupid. And he's very much a big Christian, so he won't say curse words, but he'll say a poo-poo head. Like, he does all of that stuff. It's just funny. But this is definitely one size fits all. If it doesn't work, then it's your mindset. It's not the program. It's not.
Right, and it doesn't matter your income, whether you make $10,000 a year or whether you make $150,000 a year. It's not about your income. It's just about your effort.
Yeah. Yeah, because even if you can't get a second job out there, there's ways that you can be a self-proprietor and make extra money from home.
Or you can do Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Babysit, cut the grass.
For me, it did by mistake. Oh, through there? I did? Oh, I did something. It went blank. But we're ending. We're ending. It went big because I want to move it. Don't judge me.
I'm just saying, you don't need to move anything. Everything's set the way it's supposed to be.
All right. So, if you guys have any other, quick little questions, you can email. You can email Tiger. And it says we don't need to see, we need to listen. Okay. It's true. You're right. And I thank you guys for tuning in. I hope this was helpful. This podcast was basically about promoting this book. So that's why we didn't dig deep into other aspects. It was about helping, giving you information right now that can help you in any kind of financial situation that you want to get out of. This is a good stepping stone to financial freedom, and it is a one size fits all. So understandable that times is hard and jobs are limited out there, but in his book he says even if you're not making that much in the main job that you have, that doesn't mean that this isn't going to work for you, because you're just going to have to sacrifice and work more hours or get another job or find other source of income that can get you out of debt. So it isn't about you still living your regular normal income life and reorganizing how you spend your money. That isn't going to really help you as fast as it would if you were to get another job, bring more money in to pay that stuff off faster. The faster it gets paid off is up to you. That's what it's about. But I thank you guys very much for having us and for tuning in. This was really great. Yeah, for those who don't know me.
Definitely.
Yeah, again, my name is Edeliz. I usually type in sometimes for the Fullblast Radio. I'm Tiger's wife, so we're doing this together to try and bring information to you guys the best that we can. Like he said earlier, this is our community right here, so why not help each other? We're in a position where we can bring information to you guys. We're all of the same culture. We're all of the same era. So why not help each other out?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So what up, babe?
No, I'm sorry. I'm just blocking my weirdo users.
Oh, we got some. Yeah, I see how it's hard to do all of that at the same time. Shut up.
Thank you all. I'll see y'all later on this evening on Sunday. You know how we do. Salute everybody. Peace.